Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to St Mary's Vicarage on this Wednesday, the 6th of January. Now, for us here in the UK and most of Western Christendom, of course, today is the feast of the Epiphany, when we remember the Magi, the wise men, coming to Bethlehem to pay homage to the Christ child. And I've put my Epiphany star in the background. This is the one that normally sits up on the top window in the vicarage to remind us of that. However, I'm not in fancy dress today, though some of you might think that. I am, but today in the Orthodox Church, it's Christmas Day in the Orthodox tradition. They celebrate Christmas on the 6th of January, and their feast of the Epiphany is on the 19th, when they focus on the baptism of Christ, not the visit of the Magi. And of course, a few years ago, I was greatly privileged to go with a group from the Oxford Diocese and Bishop Andrew Proud to Ethiopia. And Ethiopia is predominantly a Christian country. And in Ethiopia, they are Ethiopian Orthodox Christians. And they even have a different calendar from us. We're in 2021, they're in 6,000 something or other, because they trace their lineage, Ethiopian Christians, right back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, who fathered a child together, reared a child together, Amharic, and then the link goes right back there. And Ethiopians believe that the Ark of the Covenant was entrusted to them by Solomon. So today's a big day in Ethiopia, and I do remember a few years ago when we went out to Ethiopia, we arrived the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, and we celebrated Christmas again, but in the Orthodox style. But the real big feast day isn't actually today, it's on the 19th of January, which is what they call Timkat or Epiphany. But as I say, in Ethiopia, what they do is they celebrate the baptism of Christ. So the big feast day on Epiphany on the 19th of January, all huge processions through the streets, particularly in Addis Ababa. All the churches are involved. You would wear something like this. This is an Orthodox priest's hat that I've got on, and this sort of white shawl that I'm wearing, you would put this over yourself because you wear white for the Feast of Timkat. And you get near a water source. All the churches have what they call a tabot. They believe this is the Ark of the Covenant. Every church has an Ark of the Covenant. And as I've said before, we asked a wise man, an elder priest there, why did every church have the Ark of the Covenant? If there was only one Ark of the Covenant which Solomon entrusted to them, why has every church got an Ark of a Covenant? And his reply was this, very wise, thinking about the wise men. He said, if you want to hide a tree, you don't hide it in a desert, you hide it in a forest. Just think about that. So that was very interesting. So we got to take that. And then what happens on the Feast of Timkat, their Epiphany, is the night before. I mean, there's these huge processions the day before and everything, lots of worship. They then go to a water source, which will be a lake, a river, or something that's man-made. And they will worship and pray all night. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll post up some of the photographs. There's a link to some of the pictures I took in Ethiopia. I'll post that up afterwards. And then in the morning, after the priests and bishops and all of that have done the blessing of the water, the idea is you have to get as wet as possible. People run into the rivers, they have fire hoses and everything like that. It really is quite something. But in the rest of the Orthodox Church, Greek Orthodox Church, Russian Orthodox Church, etc., today is Christmas Day. So I thought I would put this outfit on in honour of our Orthodox brothers and sisters, but particularly those in Ethiopia. Now, of course, the great debate for today is, when should you take your Christmas decorations down? When should you take your Christmas decorations down? I've already seen discussions flying around on social media this morning with some people saying, we're going to leave them up until the end of the pandemic, or we're going to leave a star up and all of this. And of course, some people believe that if it's bad luck if you don't take your Christmas decorations down by 12th night, which was actually yesterday. So let's actually get to the bottom of the Christmas decoration mystery and solve this once and for all. The interesting thing is, some of the people who argue that Christmas decorations should come down by the 5th of January are often the people who have put them up by the 1st of November. So there's not a lot of logic in that. So traditionally, Christmas decorations should not appear in the home until Christmas Eve. And traditionally, in a lot of Germanic countries, that is what used to happen. When I was a young lad, I was very friendly with a German lad and his family who lived just around the corner from my house. And we used to put our Christmas decorations up in our house probably sort of beginning of December, second week in December, something like that. As a kid, I always liked to get the decorations up. But his family was very, very strict, and the decorations would go up on Christmas Eve, and it was really part of the family sort of tradition. The families would gather at Christmas Eve, and you would put the decorations up, because that marked the beginning of the Feast of Christmas. Of course, prior to that, we're in Advent, which in a sense, like Lent, is a penitential season, a season of fasting and preparing for the great Feast of Christmas. So you really shouldn't put your decorations up before Christmas Eve. However, times have changed, and particularly this year, we've often seen Christmas decorations going up, as I say, in November, which is quite interesting because, of course, in the Hindu tradition, Diwali falls about that time. So there's a sort of an overlap now sometimes between Diwali, which is, of course, the Hindu festival of lights. There's also Yom Kippur, which is also another festival of light around about that time, and then it rolls into December. So decorations start to go up, and of course they have turning on of Christmas lights and such like. But the Feast of Christmas, of course, begins on Christmas Day. And then, as the Christmas Carol says, the 12 days of Christmas, the actual feast of Christmas is 12 feast days that you have for Christmas, is from Christmas Day until the Feast of the Epiphany, which is today. So that is part of the link of the 12 days of Christmas and thus 12 night. However, strictly speaking, in the Catholic tradition, and I would say this as well because the Anglican Church is also part of the Catholic tradition as well, though it's a Reformed Catholic tradition, the actual celebrations and the focus on Christmas carries right on until the 2nd of February, which is either the presentation of Christ in the temple, if you want to be a little bit more low church about it, or Candlemas, if you want to be a bit more Catholic about it. And this is, of course, when the Christ child is brought to the temple, and Anna and Simeon do their stuff. Okay, what's Peter put? Yeah, Netherlands has its decorations and celebrations. St. Nicholas Day, of course, yes. In the Netherlands and some of the Nordic countries, St. Nicholas Day, which is the 6th of December, is actually a really important day, and children get gold coins and chocolate and such like. So really, you could say your celebration of Christmas and all things linked with it, Christmas and Epiphany, which are sort of together, should go from Christmas Day or Christmas Eve until the 2nd of January, 2nd of February, Candlemas. In my previous benefice, we always made a thing about Candlemas. We called it Candlemas and Curry, and we would have a Holy Communion, a bit of bells and smells at Candlemas, lighting lots of candles and blessing them, and then we would all go for a curry at the local Indian, which is a fabulous thing to do. So really, you can, of course, leave your decorations up, or some decorations up, until Candlemas. Now, if you take your Christmas tree down, which, of course, again, really is a Victorian invention that Prince Albert introduced to Buckingham Palace and then sort of caught on, most Christmas trees do tend to come down round about 12th night. But in other countries, for example, in Spain, now I'm half Spanish, today is a big day in Spain, the 6th of January. It's a national holiday because today is when all the children get their Christmas presents, okay? Santa doesn't do Spain. In Spain, it's the three kings who bring your Christmas presents. So Christmas Day in Spain is really just sleeping the hangover from Christmas Eve. Big family gathering on Christmas Eve that you have, and then Christmas Day you might go to Mass, and then that's it. There's no sort of big lunch or everything. You have your big meal on Christmas Eve. But the kids, all the children get their presents today. Now, in normal times, if we weren't in this awful pandemic, if you jumped on a plane and had got yourself to Madrid or any of the big Spanish cities today, what would have happened is there would, in the evening or last night, there would have been huge processions through the streets. And in Madrid, there would have been camels with 3 kings riding on the camels, and all the children would come out, and they would throw sweets at you. And in Spain, when I was a child, and we would go out there before Christmas, whereas all of our department stores had Santa, Father Christmas and elves, and you would, of course, go and see Father Christmas, in Spain, you would go and see your king. And as a child, you would have to choose which of your 3 kings was going to be your king. And then every Christmas, you would go and see one of the 3 kings, and it is the kings who bring your presents on the Epiphany, 6th of January today. So lots of different Christmas traditions. Now, I did a little bit of research looking at this nonsense of why is it bad luck to leave your decorations up after today, after Epiphany. Well, there's not really a lot about it really, but it goes back to a pagan tradition. Of course, when you had sort of, Christian and pagan traditions, and I asked some of my pagan friends whether they've heard of this one or not, because they can probably clarify it. But the belief was back then that because things like trees and, for example, holly and the greenery that you would then bring into the house to decorate your house, before we had glass baubles in Victorian times and all of that tinsel and such like, you would decorate your house with a tree or holly or ivy. And it was believed that woodland spirits, tree spirits, lived in the tree or in the holly and the ivy that you would decorate your house with, and that it was important to take it outside to set the spirits free. If you didn't do that, then your vegetation would suffer that year. So the bad luck isn't necessarily bad luck on yourself. It just might mean that your gardening doesn't go too well. If you're a farmer, you might want to be extra cautious and take the stuff out. But that is where the notion of it's bad luck to leave your decorations up after the 6th of January. It comes from a sort of a pagan past, in a sense, where people believe that wood spirits or tree spirits lived in the holly and the ivy and such like, and it was important to get them out and set them free. If you didn't, they would then cause havoc with your garden and your anything that was green. Okay, so that's where the bad luck comes from. However, of course, as 99% of all Christmas decorations these days are plastic or maybe glass or something like that. I had a good wander around the house this morning, and no sign of tree spirits, as sadly most of our virtually all of our decorations are artificial. So that's where bad luck comes from. So today I am going over to the church shortly to meet with our church warden, our verger, and we are going to be taking down the Christmas tree and things like that. But traditionally the Christmas crib, the nativity scene, that should remain until the 2nd of February, Candlemas. And what should happen now is that the figures of the 3 wise men that often haven't been on display at the crib, they would come out now, and the crib scene would change, in a sense, from the Christmas Eve stable at Bethlehem to more of a sort of a home appearance, with the 3 kings coming to pay homage to Jesus. Well, yes, the thing is though, Bill, our Christmas tree, we've had our Christmas tree since before we got married. I think it must be about nearly 28 years old now, and it was bought from John Lewis, and it's completely plastic, so I don't think there's going to be any indwelling tree spirits in our Christmas tree, to be honest with you, but there we go. So yeah, some decorations are left up in the church until the 2nd of February, when we celebrate Candlemas. So the Christmas tree and the fairy lights and things like that will go today, and of course, sadly, our beautiful floodlights, which were lent to us by First Woodcut Scouts, which I'm very grateful for. We may well ask them again if we can use them next year. So, Whether you're a Western Christian, blessed Epiphany to you today. If you're an Orthodox Christian, happy Christmas today. But let's have the Gospel reading for the Epiphany today, which is our Gospel reading set for Sunday. Matthew 2, verses 1 to 12. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born the King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising, and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among all the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler, who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called the wise men, and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. And when they saw that star, he stopped, and they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. So there we are, the Feast of the Epiphany. Today. So I hope you have a good day in whatever you're doing. Thinking of our parents, particularly those who are having to get to grips with homeschooling. We're sort of dealing with this, but in a different way. Of course, our two boys are much older and can deal with themselves. But I've got both Kate upstairs in her office working from home because obviously her school is shut, though she's going to be going back in. And I've got Ben and Alex both in their rooms online, having online lessons. I feel particularly for them both because, of course, both of them are doing courses which involve a lot of practical stuff. Alex at Royal Academy of Music, he can't go back now until the end of January. And we're paying rent for his room in London, which he can't use. And Ben, of course, similar, doing a drama course, and they're having to do all sorts of stuff online. Naomi Boo says, "My Christmas decorations are still up. We have the kitchen table full of working." Excellent. Good. Don't worry about it. We are actually going to take down our Christmas decorations in the vicarage this afternoon. So the Christmas tree will go and stuff like that. But our star here, that will be up in the vicarage window until Candlemas. And I'd encourage you all to do that. If you're taking Christmas decorations down, maybe leave a light or put a light in your window or something like that, because this is the Feast of the Epiphany. It's the revelation of Christ. It's the light coming into the world. So to have a light in the window, this star will be lit every night. It will be in the vicarage top window. If you walk past and look up, it's there. And we're going to leave that there. And we also leave my Christmas crib. It was in Spain. The tradition is your first Christmas, you're bought a nativity scene. I've had mine for 52 years. And that doesn't get put away. That stays open on the mantelpiece until Candlemas, the feast of the presentation of Christ in the temple. So good luck with everybody. Glad the girls are working hard. All youngsters at home working hard. I gather the BBC are going to be producing some schools programmes and such like. I remember watching schools programmes when I was a kid. They don't really do them anymore, and I'm sure some of you remember. And I always remember if I was off ill at home, they would be on BBC Two, and you would get schools programmes, and there would be a whole morning of programmes, all about half an hour each, on history or science or maths or something like that. It was all very, very interesting, but it all stopped. But it seems like they're going to be bringing a bit of that back, which would be great. Anyhow, folks, I hope that's explained Christmas. I hope that's explained the where the thing of bad luck comes from with your Christmas decorations, so don't worry about that too much. And I hope you have a good day. as I'm in my Ethiopian garb, I'm going to produce my lovely Ethiopian cross, which was given to me by an Ethiopian priest, and I'm going to give you all an Epiphany blessing this morning. May the Lord Jesus Christ, who came to us in human form in a child, and dwelt among us, and as we remember the journey of the Magi, may we too journey towards that Christ child, and the blessing of God be with you this Epiphany, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So have a good day, folks, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. God bless.